What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another edition of the NotBland Show. And I'm your host, Dujane Bland. And of course, as we always do when we start this show, if you're a first-timer and this is the first time you're watching this show, wherever you're watching it from, please go over to the NotBland Show on YouTube and subscribe there. Every subscription helps when it comes down to getting sponsors. And speaking of our sponsor, I want to thank Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. It is another weekend of drag racing, and this one is going to be just like every other race we have seen this season. There will be some upsets. There will be some part-time and small-time teams that will go rounds. We'll talk about it later in the show. And that's why we got Will Smith on today. It's going to be fun, him coming back, getting back in the Top Fuel Dragster right there at Route 66, right there, home for the Novelli Race team and himself. This is going to be fun, man. I'm super excited for him. And this opportunity is it's going to be a good one because I think the playing field will be leveled, and we'll talk about why that playing field will be leveled a little later. And man, thank you to Everything Nitro. Thank you to Drag Race Reference, our source for all things, all stats for the NHRA. And of course, we want to thank people who provide this for you, and that is sportsjourney.com. We got some great stuff going on over there. Some great football articles just put up to this week, and we'll be throwing up a NHRA article based on the Route 66 Nationals coming up tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. And we'll get this word from our sponsor. If you have not signed up for Drag Race Bracket Bonanza, this is how you can do so. We will have the code for the NotBland Show League running across the ticker, across the bottom. And when we come back from break, we'll have Top Fuel driver Will Smith.
Drag racing fans, check out Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. It's the free, family-friendly fantasy bracket game. Now, after final qualifying at every national event, you can fill out your bracket for all the pro classes.
It's free, easy to click on your picks. If you need some help, just hit the randomizer button to fill in the blanks. It's for fun, stay engaged, and pick your winners today.
Ladies and gentlemen, I bring to you Top Fuel driver and making his debut this upcoming weekend, Will Smith. Will, how's it going, buddy?
Man, I'm doing well. I really appreciate you having me on tonight.
Of course, man.
I actually kind of forgot how this works. I was a little late getting in because I never entered the studio. But no, man, it's great. I'm looking forward to smashing the gas this weekend in Joliet. It's been since Vegas last year, last October, that I was able to do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, looking forward to it. I spent some time living up in that area back when I was driving for the Haradas years back. And so I got a lot of friends and people I call family in the area. So looking forward to seeing everyone.
Yeah. And, first race back, you talk about the long layoff. How long does it take for you to kind of get back in the groove of, okay, all right, I've got the first pass out of the way. I've kind of got the feeling back now. I'm back to riding a bike again.
Honestly, I feel like it comes back like within a run. I mean, everybody's different, and I'm not saying that to sound like arrogant. I'm saying as far as, I guess, from the time you spent away, usually get that one run settled in, and get back in the gist of things and routines. But I'm actually up in Indy right now, and I stopped over at my bro Larry Dixon's shop earlier and hung out with him a couple hours. And it's funny because we talked about this, and it seems every time I get the opportunity to come out, it's, it might be six months or more, before I'm able to do it again. And
Right.
We were just talking about how, it takes time to get back and adjust to it. But, I've been happy with my progress. I told him, I said, we're not doing it every week. So you're not, it's not easy. I mean, I'm not saying that's easy, but it's much better when you can get in the car in and out every week and, race full time. And gosh, that's my dream, but unfortunately it hasn't happened yet. But, he was telling me all the runs he's had, he went down to Australia, the other week and won the race, and made 5 runs, went down the track, and and went the 70s all runs. And he was just saying how it's been a long time since he raced, had his car out twice last year, so his 2-seater. So he was saying that as someone as experienced as he is, he told me he was like, hey, it still takes time to get back into it, and get the gist of it. So
now, how did this deal come up with Novelli Race Team, and how many races outside of this one are you guys planning on doing?
Well, the plan is to do 4. We're looking at doing Joliet, Norwalk, Brainerd, and St. Louis. The great group of guys. I've met Travis and a lot of the guys that helped him out over the years, and met Lou as well when I was, like I said, living in the region up here back in the Top Alcohol days with Harada. And they reached out to me last year, and we was able to work out a deal that made sense for all of us. And they gave me a good opportunity to go to Vegas, and we went out there to really get some runs on the car. It has been redone, and Bobby and Dom Lagana, they've done a tremendous amount of work and provided assistance and to Lou and Travis and the guys. And it was time to get the car out to see what it run, and I goofed up in Q1 there again, going back to getting the, back in your routine. And anyway, went right down the track, and, I double stepped it, and then, burn a head gasket the second run, which, I mean, it's nitro racing, that happens, and still went 403, I think like 286 or something. So, I mean, it was going down the track, and the last run, it was a very simple thing that was changed on the car that unfortunately we smoked the tires, but I was more than confident, and we were going to make a great run. And so anyway, we're just looking to build on that this weekend. It's a hometown race for Lou and the team, and they're a great group of guys, and I enjoyed working with them and driving for Lou, and we all had a great time. And they're a group of passionate drag racers just like myself, and I'm out here scratching and clawing, trying to make a career out of this gig. I haven't done it yet, and it's very difficult these days, but like I tell people, I'm too stupid to quit. So, but there's no quit in me. I promise you that. I love drag racing too much. So I love nitro racing, and it's a tough gig, but I'm still trying. So giving me a great opportunity to work with them, and we're looking forward to, putting this thing in the show and making good, clean runs, like one right after the other, getting quicker, and hopefully a career best for me and the team. That's the ultimate goal. And then the main goal is to go rounds on Sunday. So one step at a time, though.
Indeed. If you're just joining us, we're talking to Will Smith. He'll be driving the National Machine Repair Top Fuel Dragster for Novelli Racing. I talked to TJ Zizzo. We talked to him last week on the Competition Plus Power Hour. And with your team, same group of guys that normally work on the car that will be joining you this weekend? Are there any new faces?
Yeah, same group we've had. We're actually, I think, short a couple of guys, but I'm gonna work on the car and do whatever they need. I love to crew. I love crewing on the car just as much as driving. And my best friend Brian Inaway, he's coming over to help out. And me and Brian go back a long ways. And we both he drives a front engine top fuel car, and I go help him when I can, when the schedule allows, and he does the same for me. So we'll be back together, racing together, and it's always a fun time. And it's very important to to have the right people in place and to have fun, and we have all that. So it's just got to work hard and keep at it. So
yeah, I was looking at this weekend, and it's really not loaded with full-time cars. There are a lot of part-time and smaller teams that are going to be out there this weekend. And looking back to last year, being that this track is really only run once a year, they kind of went off of the rubber that they had been there all year. I think it evened up the playing field. And I think this weekend with the weather is going to even up the playing field. It's got to give you guys, being that you have a consistent crew that will be with you and that have been on this car, that provides a level of continuity when you're going out to that racetrack, and you can have a level of confidence that you can put down a run. This is really has to give you guys confidence going into this race with, I think, a track that will be tricky, going from 85 degrees on Friday to about 68 degrees on Elimination Sunday. Got to give you a little confidence that you guys could legitimately go rounds knocking off some of these big teams that make that tremendous amount of horsepower that they're trying to get to what could be a tricky racetrack.
Oh, without a doubt. But I feel, hey, we put this thing in the show, take each round, one qualifying round at a time, and worry about Sunday when it gets here. But I'm a firm believer in, it doesn't it's facts are facts. It doesn't matter where you qualify in a field, right? I mean, you win from the number 16 spot to number 9 spot to number 1, So fortunately, I've been on both ends of the spectrum of that before. So, we just want to, put the car in the show, and I think we're going to do that. I have no doubts there, and I can't wait to see what we run with it. And like I said, we're gonna work on getting quicker with it each round, and hopefully come Sunday we'll be ready to, we'll be swinging for all the big teams. So We'll do whatever it takes. That's what we're here for. That's what everybody's there for. So, like I said, my philosophy on it is just no matter what, one round at a time. I don't even think about anything past that. And I've had some good teachers like Larry Dixon. He's one of my best friends, and he's really taught me a lot. And it's just you control what you can control, and the rest will take care of itself. So,
any partners, new partners, or partners that you're bringing on board as you are driving this dragster for the next for about 4 races here?
Yeah, we've got some great people helping us out. As you see in the background, SP Tools. I'm a brand ambassador for them this year, and it's a partnership we put together, with my racing program, but also stems from the PDRA. They're the official tool of our PDRA series, which I'm the marketing director of. So it's a good relationship we have in place, and we're looking to grow that, the rest of this year, next year, and so on and so forth. Obviously, Redline Oil, Mark Beatty, great people over there. Mark's a great guy. They're the series title sponsor of the PDRA Drag Racing Series. So we're really excited to be working with them, and they help me with my race program as well as the Novelli. So they're helping out this year. Mike Castellano with Western Beef, great friend of mine. I used to work for him, and Shannon Jenkins back in the day with Al and Albie racing days. And Mike's helping us out, and Jeff Pittman at Hickory Enclosed Trailer Sales. My Uncle Phil, I call him my Uncle Phil. It's actually Brian's dad, but he, he's like, hey, I want to buy you a drum of nitro, so he's helping us out. And my buddy Neil Quick back at home, and actually my good friend John Kemp, he's a diehard, awesome pro mod racer, and he's going to be hanging out with us in Norwalk. So we got some great people helping us out, and David Allen over at Hussey Performance Gaskets run their gaskets, no matter what, and they're great people and great to work with. So we got a great product, and it's all the conglomerate of all these different people and companies and these partners that we have that help all make all this possible. So
I went to the solo screen, ladies and gentlemen, so you guys can clearly see the sponsors. Want to give them.
And I got to say one other thing too. I've had 2 really special people help me out that I didn't mention just specifically towards like this weekend and this race deal. But Alan O'Brien at Greenbrier Excavating and Paving, and Tony Toll at Robert A. Toll Incorporated. Those guys have helped myself out, and Larry and I out as well together, and they made it possible for me to get my fuel funny car license back in March. And that was the coolest thing I've ever done. So I've got to mention them, and we're all continuing to work together on that front too. So
That's awesome. That's awesome to have great partners, and that's so important in this business of drag racing, to have those great partners that you can work with, and kind of know where you're coming from. You know where they're coming from, the familiarity there, and they know how hard you're working for them. Speaking of sponsorships, and everybody, especially who gets into this, really is looking to make that career full time. What has been some of the difficulties that you found in trying to land or log that long-term sponsorship that can keep you out there for an entire season?
I'll be completely honest with you. The money it takes to do it, it usually the first thing when you go to pitch someone or you talk about a partnership opportunity, I mean, it's just like anything, right? The first thing they're going to ask, well, what's it cost, And so that's, to me, it's been a lot of the times, a lot of reason for that. But it's all about ROI. So, if you have the right program in place and you're able to provide, the marketing assets and it creates value for the companies. And a lot of that now, and it's changed so much because, a lot of the way social media is now and how people are brand ambassadors for company. And that's how, their race team partnerships work out. And it's kind of like my deal with SP Tools. So the landscape on that has changed a little bit, but it's tough because racing's not getting any cheaper. And, but there's a lot of, there's tremendous amount of marketing value in our sport and our industry and motorsports in general. And it's our job to really package it up properly and sell it. So there's a lot of things that I guess there's a million different ways to do it, right? I don't really know there's one set answer, and I don't know that there's one set, this is why we're good at what we do, and this is why why it doesn't sell as much. But usually the money part is what people's like, oh wow, it costs that much to run those cars. But there's a tremendous amount of value with the Fox Sports One and the massive crowds we have at our events and the social media following. I mean, we've got a great package there.
I agree.
No doubt.
I agree. And I find it funny when you think about a Top Fuel operation, a pro stock operation, a pro stock bike operation, and then we go and we turn our heads to NASCAR and the money that it takes. Yes. Is it expensive? Sure. But is it expensive as the guys next to us? No. So I really think it's about people changing their mindset, so to speak,
yes.
And with the TV deals that we have and the potential new TV deal that is in the works, with the ever-changing landscape of how we go about promoting our brand. Each driver is a brand. There's a lot of room for marketability and to showcase a lot of these sponsors on a very grand stage. And I wouldn't say that it's a niche sport, but it is a unique sport, and it draws a unique kind of person, which to me is an untapped fan base with whatever your product may be.
Yeah, I think the whole branding thing, you mentioned that, it's like, I think all of us, including myself, I mean, we all have a brand, and we've all got to, put our own special touch to it and package it up nice and basically, sell it in a way that no one can refuse it. And I think now we got to, like you mentioned, we got to put a spin on it. The old approaches, they're gone and over with, so you really got to get your approaches and content, all has to be unique. And I struggle with that too. I mean, I've got people helping me with it and educating me with it too. So it's not like just because I'm in marketing that I got it all figured out, because clearly I don't. But I do think we got to change the mindset, like you said, because what it takes to run a cup car over there, I mean, there's a tremendous amount of value in NHRA drag racing for, specifically Top Fuel and Funny Car, for these Fortune 500 companies to come over there. But I think, like you said, it is going to take changing that mindset. But for what they can come over here for a fraction of what it cost over there, I think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah,
but
indeed.
Yeah.
This is a good question here. Drag Race Mayhem says, how's Will Smith work at PDRA been going? Also, from a selfish point of view, when is PDRA going back to Maple Grove so I can make it to the race?
Well, unfortunately, the Maple Grove venue is not on our schedule for this season. Not going to say it could be again in the future, but unfortunately not this year. But I got to tell you, everything I've done in racing since 2018 when I started Top Alcohol, right? Well, going back to when I got my license in 17, I did it here at Indy at the track during our PDRA race. I couldn't have done any of this without the Franklin family and PDRA, and then it was Bob Harris and now Tyler Crossno. Like the whole team there. I thought I was going to have a chance to run a Top Alcohol car a couple of weeks ago, and they were going to let me leave the race early, to go race. So the working for PDRA, January was 9 years that I've been with them. I love the organization. I love the Franklins and all my coworkers. I just got a great team, and I just love it. And they have all paved the way that has allowed me to do this. So, and working for PDRA, a lot of the relationships I have now that are, partners came from there, so through our working relationships there, some of them are sponsors for PDRA too. So, I owe it all to PDRA for sure.
Yeah. Mac 1320, by the way, you guys make sure you follow her. Great stuff. She's doing different things on different big moments in drag racing history. I think Angel was the latest one. So make sure you go and check that out. She asked you, what was your most meaningful win?
Wow, that's a tough one. I've got two regional wins in the NHRA regional series. And my first win was with the Haradas and Dave Harada Motorsports back in 2020 at Earlville. That was my first win. And I got to tell you, cried like a baby there. And it was just our day. We couldn't have done anything wrong that day, and it was great because it was me and Dave and Brian and Bill Carlson. It was just us four there, and we were short on help, but we knocked it out and got it done. But I can tell you, and that was great. The first win, that's probably the best. But I was fortunately able to win the Baby Gators back in 22 with the Samsel family, and I actually, they worked out a deal with me to run the race, and I didn't have any sponsors then, and I saved up my money and I went racing one time, and I said, well, I got one shot at it and not screw it up, and fortunately we parked it in the winner's circle, and we would have been number one qualifier had I went a little bit straighter the night before, but there was a reason for that, and we won't get into that. But it's a laughing matter now. Well, I'll just say this because everybody's probably wondering, but Tony was like, hey, I'm going to point you here, and I want you to be this part of the groove at, by 8th mile or whatever the placement was. And I stabbed the gas, and I could tell it was on a run, and then I was like, oh, crap. I forgot to move the car, and I just kind of moved because I'm like, I'm going to get yelled at if I don't, and it moved, and we were number 2 qualifier only by like 1 thou. So clearly, I was disappointed. I wanted a teen run, in the 5 teens, I never run that. So they janked on me about that. I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, but I turned it, I got it where you wanted. And so anyway, that would have been a almost perfect weekend. If we'd have been on the pole and won it, but that too, it's hard to say which one. But I think the greatest victory that I've had was the day I got my license in Top Fuel, and doing that with Larry Dixon, who has been one of my closest friends for years, mentor. That guy bent over backwards to help get me there, and having my mom and dad there and my sister. And, I was 32 when that happened. And from the point I was 2 years old, I told my parents, I want to drive a Top Fuel dragster. That was my only goal in life, and I mean that. Like I got out of high school and got a marketing degree, and it was only to go racing. Everybody says, well, that'd be good to have this backup plan. I'm like, I'm not focused on a backup plan. I got to figure out how to do this. So we'll worry about a backup later. But being there that day and finally accomplishing your lifelong dream, it was like just a burden had been lifted off my shoulders. I'm like, wow, I'm accomplished. Like in life, this is what I set out to do. Yeah. And so many people along the way helped me. And I would have to say that's probably got to be my biggest win.
Yeah. I mean, that is an accomplishment. Larry is one of my all-time favorites. I feel like his career was cut a little short. I still think he's got it, to be honest. And that's awesome to be able to, to have someone to have your back and help you along the way, because it's not easy to accomplish that at all. And not everybody who sets out to do it can. So, yeah, I agree with you. That is a huge victory. And then you got your funny car license now too?
Oh yeah, dude, that was, yeah. So Paul Smith and I worked out a deal. A great guy, him and Bodie and Megan and their whole team. And we were actually going to do it or try to do it last September, and just the date and location didn't work out. And so it ended up happening in Gainesville. And I had never sat in a funny car until the night before that. And everybody's like, are you serious? Like, you're crazy. And I'm like, well, I think you got to be slightly crazy to drive a funny car. I don't think really any sane person is going to just hop in the thing.
Right.
And I did it with a big smile on my face. And, it's, they were like, hey, we'll put you in the car, in the pits, suit you up, put your helmet on, strap you in, put the body on the car so you can get used to everything. And my biggest fear, I just didn't want to underdrive it, because the dragster, you're not, you start doing this, you got big trouble,
Right.
And so I just was fearful of underdriving it. And when when I got suited up and the body was down on it, that was in the staging lanes for the first run. So we had a couple of setbacks in the pits, and it was fine, but it's like, we get in it, and I'm going up to the staging lane, and I'm just doing this in the car just to feel how quick, it moves. And it's like, yeah, it's not moving quick at all. I mean, I'm like, wow, this thing's like hard to turn. But I mean, we made 3 great straight runs and went right down the track. But let me tell you, I know at speed, that thing will turn a lot easier. There's no doubt. But you stand on the gas and it's clutch dust, and then at half track it's worse. And I got out of it, and I'm like, dude, that was so freaking awesome.
That's fantastic.
Dixon told me he came down to the race that weekend. We were talking about it. He's like, how was it? And I was like, dude, it was so awesome. And I said, I think I'd rather drive a funny car than a Top Fuel car now. And he goes, yeah, you're saying that till you end up on fire, I'm like, well, you're probably right. So
right.
But yeah, I just love nitro racing. Top Fuel, funny car, that's what I love to do, and I'm open to either one.
That's awesome, and I'm super happy that you get to race 4 races this year, starting with the Route 66 Nationals there, racing for a great team, and I think you're going to do well this weekend, man. It's a great weekend for small teams, and like TJ Zizzo always says, it's the continuity that helps out, and the fact that you guys have that, along with your experience, is going to vote well for you guys this weekend. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys tackle the track.
I'm really excited about it. I got a good feeling about it, and I enjoy working with these guys. I've only done it once, and I'm looking forward to getting back with them. And everybody's got heart, everybody's got passion, and I tell you, Lou's got parts, and when it blew a head gasket up and burnt, the head and the block, we'll put another one in it. We got plenty. We got 4 more or whatever it was.
Right.
So I like his attitude. I mean, he's. It might only run 4 races, but in all 4 of those, he's got enough parts. and enough drive and enough passion to say, hey, we're going to do our best to go all the way. And that's the kind of people I like to be associated with. You know, I'm a hardcore racer. Anybody that knows me is I'll do whatever it takes. I was going to say this a while ago, and I forgot what struck it in my head, but I had to say this whole process of getting here, so many people have played a role. I mean, in jobs that I've had, and it started helping Steve Johnson when I was 14, and then I worked for Shannon Jenkins and Mike Castellana, and then PDRA, and then I got the chance to work for Dave Harada and drive for them. That was my first driving gig at this level, and gosh, Dave taught me so much, and his dad and the whole team, and but I was fortunate enough that we were close enough to where he let me live with him and sleep on his couch. So I slept on his couch for 4 seasons during the year. And, you lay there at night looking at the ceiling and it's like, man, a bed would be nice. But then I'm like, man, I'm so blessed to be here. I'm so thankful to have Dave and his team, and he lets me live with him and race with him. And man, we raced hard, and that's what I'm all about. A lot of these guys now, they don't like, in other types of racing, they don't like to work that hard. But us nitro guys, you're tearing everything up every run, tearing it apart. That's what I love to do. So
that's great, man. And before we let you get out of here, tell everybody where they can keep up with you on social media as you go into this weekend. I know you'll have a lot of great content coming out there.
Yeah, I've got some help this weekend on the photography side of things, and Nicole, she helps me out when even when she's not at the track, so I'm sure she'll help keep my pages updated. But Will Smith Motorsports on Facebook and Instagram, those are the 2 platforms I use the most. Try to keep everything updated there, and at the end of the day, do some reporting. I want to show one thing though. A while ago, when you mentioned partners, somebody I was going to mention. This is a brand new helmet that my friend Jason Livery Art Studios, he did this for me. And this thing is phenomenal. I can't wait to debut it this weekend.
That's fantastic.
I am first of all, I'm an old soul, but I'm a huge Rat fan. I love 80s hair bands. And he knocked this thing out of the park. And I said, hey, I want to do a Rat theme. Because I know Stephen Piercy, he's a big drag racing guy. Yeah. And he's always got to put my trucker girl on there. But he put the Rat off one of the T-shirts. And, yes, that is Elf on a Shelf. And that's a whole nother story. That's the nickname he gave me at PRI last year. So, anyway, that's why the Elf is on there. Yeah. But just wanted to give him a plug. Check him out, Livery Art Studios on Facebook and Instagram. The guy is a phenomenal painter, and he can do anything and everything. So if you got a lid you won't paint it or any kind of artwork done, he's your guy. Yeah,
Scott, it's fantastic. That is a absolutely well done helmet. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show, and good luck this weekend, buddy.
Hey, thank you so much for the opportunity. I appreciate you having me on, and look forward to burning some nitro this weekend and going some rounds.
Yes, sir. Anytime. Will Smith, everybody. Man, I'm going to tell you, it's going to be a great weekend. It's a great weekend for a lot of small teams. We saw what happened last year. This track only is run on once a year. We'll see what the NHRA decides to do this year as far as prep. It's not always easy when you have one race and you don't want to take a whole lot of time, I understand, to scrape the track completely down and then hope to God that you have enough cars to put down rubber. So we'll see how that whole preparation goes with this racetrack and what they do. We kind of understand what happened last year. And when we come back from break, we'll talk about how many cars are on the premises. We'll talk about some of the small teams that will be in attendance and give you what I think about this particular race as well right after this break. That's right. Talking Funny Cars will be back soon. They are working and have a couple, I believe, a couple in the holster right now to deliver. I will try to narrow down some dates for you guys when we'll see our first episode of Talking Funny Cars with Buddy Hull. Like I said, one of the best to choose there to represent this whole thing. Really cool stuff that he is doing over there. Memphis Lonnie says, I bet the Play NHRA bet book will be crazy this weekend. I think so. I think we're going to have a lot of craziness going on this weekend. And Randy says, what is the reason there is just one event a year? That has to do with the racetrack. It's also, I believe, I don't know if it's about money, about whether staff, but NHRA does their thing and brings the event here. There are no they don't have any other events. They don't have any Friday night, midnight madness or anything like that where guys and girls can bring out their little beaters and go down the racetrack. None of that. And I think it's probably just about money. And you know how it is with these racetracks and not being able to make money to stay open. I think that they have the ability to do so. There are a lot of people that don't like the fact that it's not open other than this one race. I think there's a lot of events that they could grab and have an opportunity to bring to that racetrack that would be willing to come there. I think I've heard some people say the service is so-so, but it is an iconic racetrack. You don't have too many bowl style racetracks out there where the stands and the actual, tower kind of block out, and kind of create that U shape. Other than if you go over to, our fellows and ladies across the pond there, they have some nice racetracks that are built like that. But it's about being able to run and maintain the racetrack, and that's simply unfortunate. Mac 1320 says, way back in maybe 2009, my grandparents took me to a Pink's All Out at Route 66. It was pretty cool. That sounds like it was. Pink's was pretty cool back there in the day. With the that whole thing, it was a great deal. Loved it. And I think they're bringing it back, from what I understand. I think Bruno is like the host or something. I haven't heard much about that, but I thought that's what I saw. So we got 17 Top Fuel dragsters. We've got 19 Fuel Funny Cars, and we've got 15 Pro Stock motorcycles. Yes, it is a travesty that Pro Stock is not here. They should be. One race a year, door slammers should be there. But we'll have some sort of door cars. They may be the all Camaro field, being that, at least we have some Fords in Pro Stock. Pro Mod will be there. So we'll have some door cars there in that deal outside of the super stock, and stock eliminator and all that, super gas. We'll have some. Factory stock will be there. Top Fuel motorcycle will also be there. 5 entries. And Factory X. There's 4 entries. So, a little bit there, but back to the Mission Foods drag racing series in Top Fuel. Very interesting list of characters, your usuals, and then we have Dan Mercier, Will Smith, who we talked to just now. Lex June will be there. TJ Zizzo will be there. Kyle Wurtzel will be there. Spencer Massey will be there, and I believe that is dang it. Just see her face and name just flew right out. But you know who I'm talking about. Will be there. And Terry Totten will be there. I believe we got, like I said, 17. So somebody's going home. It's just a matter of who. And I think your Friday sessions will be key in this regard, as it will be important to make your Friday night run and make it count. in this regard, as it's been all season long. It has been the story of the small team or part-time team getting into the semifinal, final rounds and winning, possibly winning. Some have won, some have gotten to semifinal rounds, and some have gotten into second rounds, putting some big teams on the trailer early. I think we see much of the same here. You've got 2, 4, 6, 7 small to part-time teams out there. And if it's anything like what we saw with these track conditions last year, I think you're going to find that. And I think you're going to find that as well as we see a decrease in temperature during the day, as we will start out at about 85 degrees on Saturday. On Friday, it will be around the mid 70s on Saturday. And then on Sunday, we'll be around 68 degrees on Sunday, Elimination Sunday. And I believe the temps start out pretty low Sunday morning. If I can check that real quick. Let's see here. Yeah, I think they start out pretty low. We're looking at temperatures starting out. You'll be 50 degrees that Saturday night. So it'll be a cool start to the morning come Sunday. So you're talking about, 57 on Friday night. So a cool start to Saturday morning as well. It will be breezy, it looks like. Winds gusting to 40 miles an hour. Winds will be 20 through 30 miles an hour. So that's going to play a factor into a lot of teams. And depending upon which direction that wind is blowing, will it be blowing to the finish line or will it be blowing back down track? Will it be a crosswind? Who knows? That's going to play a part in our pro stock motorcycles and top fuel bikes with that wind on Saturday. So will be interesting. And that is a day where it is during the day when you'll have 10 to 20 miles an hour winds on Saturday. And then that night looks like much of the same. So it will be interesting here to see how that all plays out. But this smorgasbord of temperatures throws in the monkey wrench of, we see one type of track condition in qualifying for first 2 days. Your second 2 days of qualifying is another different type of track condition due to temperatures. And then on Sunday, you have a cool start to the morning, and your daytime temperature is not near what it was on Friday, which again throws another monkey wrench into this whole thing of track conditions and temperature. So could be slick to very tight racetrack, and it's going to be a tuner's race. It really is. I think that's what we're going to see. We're looking at the schedule here. Saturday, we'll see Top Fuel cars out at about 12 o'clock. Top Fuel motorcycle will be out at 11:35. That's all tentative. You know that, right? We all know that. They'll likely be behind for no reason. That's just how it goes. Just might as well get used to it. You're going to be 30 minutes to an hour behind no matter what. Somebody burps and farts and we're behind an hour. So I don't expect it to start on time, but maybe it will. Your second session for fuel classes and pro stock motorcycle starts at 2:30 with the Top Fuel and that Mission Foods Too Fast, Too Tasty. And everything should be done tentatively around 4:15 with all of those classes. So 12 and 2:30 are your times. 2:15 pro stock or Top Fuel motorcycle will hit the track. And Sunday, your start time is at 10:30 a.m. is when elimination starts. So that's going to be an interesting start time because at around 10:30, we will not be at 68 degrees. It will be a nice, cool start to the morning. Don't have the hourly on that, but I'm sure it will be a cool start to the morning at 10:30 a.m. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how these crew chiefs play the racetrack. And what we see out of this thing. Friday, 2:00 is your start time. 1:30 starts Pro Stock Motorcycle. And then 4:30 is your Nitro qualifying start. Pro Stock Motorcycle starts at 4:00 p.m. So really 1:30 and 4 are when your Mr. Foo's pro classes start. So not very late on Friday. So it's not a true night session. So we'll see how it all plays out. And again, all these times are tentative because likely we'll find a way to be behind. Let's go back a little bit here. Drag Race Mayhem says, in my opinion, most tracks were built in the 90s and 2000s were massively overbuilt. This sport just fits better at a track like Epping, Maple Grove, St. Louis, Dallas, over mega tracks like Route 66. That's a good point. That thing is massive. And it is a different day and time. I do say this though, Drag Race Mayhem, it is also it's imperative. That's why it's so imperative for it not to be on the backs of us, the media, and the race teams to do the marketing. It takes everyone. And it's more than just piggybacking off of a few drivers that may be popular, but it requires everyone to do the work. And, we can't deny the fact that it appears that we have kind of fallen to the back seat when it comes to Fox. We can't deny that. When's the last time we've been on Fox proper? The national Fox station. It's been a minute. We're getting a lot of FS1 lately. And granted, nice, but that's not Fox. And I understand there's other people involved, and there's F1, there's all this stuff, NASCAR, all that. But, we don't seem to be the priority as much as we were. So it does take everyone. But I will say, to your point, that is true. Your big, massive stadium type, racetracks don't seem to look as well. You look at Pomona and they have one side completely closed, and it's not anything negative. It's just the world we live in now. It's just different. It's different. So that's a good point. Good point. Scott says, I hope it's an underdog weekend this weekend. I really do think it's going to be an underdog weekend this weekend. I don't think it's always going to be about the horsepower this weekend. And as we've noticed, a lot of individuals this season who have produced big numbers and low ETs haven't necessarily gone the rounds. They get the case of the yips during elimination time. So that's going to be that's where I think we're at here. We've seen it all season, and I don't see it changing here. Drag Race Mayhem says ProMod has at least a different years of Camaros. True, true. Memphis Lion says in Top Fuel, if you like betting on long shots, then this is the race for you. I agree. I think there are going to be some long shots here in Top Fuel. Let's look at Funny Car real quick. You've got, outside of your normals, you've got Dale Creasy Jr., Buddy. You got Chris King making his debut this weekend. That car always seems to run well. I just hope they don't get behind the 8 ball this time. Hopefully they can get all 4 of their passes in. And usually, because you know how it is, guys, if you get behind the 8 ball, it's tough. It's really tough to catch up if you get behind. So hopefully everything can go smooth and be clean. And, we can get an opportunity for him to be able to make the show and be able to showcase what they're capable of as well. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, yes, Chris King will be on the Power Hour at 9. So we'll be talking to him about his season debut I think this is a good race for Spencer Hyde. You got Alexis DeJoria that will be there. I believe there have been a few people testing in Indy. You have Justin Schaefer. I think I said that right. He will be out there, and Bobby Bodie will be out there as well. So what I say, 19 funny cars. So somebody's going home. It could be another big name. I mean, we've seen it this season with big names hitting the bricks early and not making the show. So it'll be very interesting. Dave says it is a very condensed schedule. It is. Like I said, though, condensed schedule, but somehow, some way, we find a way to get a half hour to an hour behind, and there has not been not one oil down. Still baffles me to this day. I don't get it. Randy says a very valid point. Big tracks are expensive to run. Yeah, I see that this is my thing though, too, Randy, and to speak to that, there are tons of people. I will put the team at South Georgia Motorsports Park. We look at there at No Problem Raceway. We talked about let's see, what was that? I think it's a track in Alabama, and I can't remember. They were going to have a nostalgia race out there, but they find ways to generate money for the racetrack, whether it's having a fair, whether it's concerts, whether it's anything outside of the box, bringing different things to the track. You got to start thinking outside of the box in this day and age, and your racetrack just can't be a racetrack. And I think they have had some concerts there at Route 66, but with that being, a bowl style seating area, there's a lot that can be done. There's a lot of different things that can be done. There's a lot of series, I think, that would be willing to go there. It's just a matter of, it takes a little work, and it also takes a little thinking outside of the box as well. I mean, if other tracks can have a tractor pull, you can't have a tractor pull there. I mean, there's so many things that you can do. It takes work. Dave says, I disagree. I'd rather have the space and not need it. It's a great place to watch a race. I agree. It's a great place. And then maybe you do some things like we've seen with other tracks then. Instead of exposing everything, I'll use FedEx Field for an example. FedEx Field was built to, I think it was about 89 to 90,000 people. It was a crappy way to build a stadium because it basically, there was the sound, it just wasn't loud enough because the way it's built, it's tiered outward and not stacked to where that sound can, really dome the field. What they did is they brought in almost covers and covered most of that seating at the very top of the bowl, cutting its size down. I believe it's now, I'm not, don't quote me on it, but I think it's somewhere in the 70s now. Because first of all, it looks bad. And second of all, the team wasn't winning enough to even warrant filling it out. But I don't think you need those types of stadiums. 65 to 65,000, I think it's perfect for certain things. Do you miss out on some things? Sure. But these days they've got different places in stadiums where you can watch the game and just be there and watch it on TV and have a group of people be there. I think if you block off some of the seating, and if you need it, then you open it up. But I think if you block off some of the seating, use it with banners or whatever you can do for that someone can put their sponsor on it. You kind of can make it look more cozy. And if you need the seating, at least it's available and you can remove those when that it warrants it. So I understand your disagreement there. And I do agreed that there are ways to get around all of that. And again, it's about marketing and putting in the work. That's the key. It's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy. It's a different day and age, and you just have to come up with the times. But with all this racing and different styles of racing that we have going on, you got to be able to book events during the year that are going to benefit you. You have to, because we see all these other smaller tracks doing that. So it's possible. And I believe there's a means to be able to also generate cash for locals who want to come out on Friday night and take their beater on the track. There's money for that. I mean, South Georgia's doing that. It's not the biggest market in the world, but they're doing it. I think it's possible. It's just you got to find a way to think outside of the box. Drag Race Mayhem says optics matter. It's optional. Optical looks better to see Epping packed over ZMAX. That looks empty, even if ZMAX technically has more people. The optics doesn't matter. Yeah, you got it. I understand what you're talking about vision wise, because there were a lot of people at ZMAX. It's a huge facility. I don't know if any of you ever been there, but that thing is huge. It's beautifully done. It doesn't matter whether you're sitting on the reserve side or the general admission. All seats have backs. I mean, it's the Taj Mahal, but it was built in a different time, and they, around its first times of being built, it was pretty packed. I remember going with a friend when he lived in Charlotte, and the wife and I, his wife, we all went, and it was loaded. It wasn't that great on Friday, but Saturday and Sunday were packed, and it was a good time. I think that's why they're going 4 wide during the playoffs as well. It's generate interest, something different. So, but like I said, I think there's things that can be done to fill out these things. It's just thinking outside of the box. Memphis Lion says Chris King is interesting. He'll be there for qualifying, but not for the race, as his son is. Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, so I don't know. Well, maybe somebody will be driving his car there if he qualifies. Interesting. Dave says, I don't think so. I don't go to a race to watch the stands. I watch the cars. True. Nobody has ever said a race was a bad race because there was a low crowd count. That's true. I mean, just because you don't have the people, the racing is still good. Well, I'm talking about the health of the sport. Like I said, I think there's ways to get it done. Because I mean, so here's the counter to what you're saying there, Drag Race Mayhem, as far as optics. At Gainesville on Saturday, even Friday, the stands may not have looked packed, but they were 8 deep on the fence from the starting line to the finish line. People just sometimes rather stand by the fence, even though they paid for a ticket to sit there. Sometimes it's not the most comfortable seat, especially if it's packed out. Sunday was definitely packed. But I also think you have to look at those who stand on the fence a lot as well. Some people they just don't sit. They like being along the fence. They like being blasted when those cars go by. It's a long-standing tradition of folks standing 6 to 8 deep along the fence. So that also plays a part too, you know. I think there's so many factors in all of that. Randy says both good tracks, both are medium-sized facilities. Yes, a multi-use facility. Yep, definitely got to have it in this day and age. Drag Race Mayhem says sponsors are going to want to see full stands. People want to be guilty by association. Yes and no. Because really, yes, sponsors want to see people there, but I always think that our issue and where it lies is about TV time. Catching TV time. Yeah, sure. Everybody, you don't have to be in the stands to see their product because you can walk in the pits and see the product. You can see who they are in the pits. And a lot of folks, believe it or not, are there just to run the pits. Sure, they probably show up for Nitro, but most of the time, man, they're there to run from car to car to ingest as much Nitro fumes as they can. You know, there's a saddle for every butt in these things, and everybody does something different at the racetrack. And I think sometimes that's why the optics don't look very well. But I will say this, if you want to help the optics of Pro Stock and Pro Stock Motorcycle, you go back to putting them first. Bringing out Top Fuel and Funny Car and then running them last, everybody's going to walk out of the stands as soon as the last Funny Car goes down because they want to go to the pits and watch whatever they're going to watch. And you're not, if I start them first, then I'm going to get there as soon as I can, especially if I'm in general admission so I can get a good seat if I want to sit down. I also don't want to have to climb over people if I'm in reserve. So I think reversing the order would help those classes and help the optics to a degree. But certain people just love being in the pits and love seeing these people work on the cars and all of that. So everybody has a little bit different spin on when they're at the racetrack. Dave says they have at Joliet, they closed the north side stands and put everyone in the south side stands. Yeah, I saw that last year. And it's a good idea. And they put up 2 jumbo screens directly across the track to make it easier to see. That was smart. I saw that too. That was smart. And that may be something that they have to do. But like I said, there's no reason why they shouldn't be running more races there. Other than just the NHRA. It's very unfortunate. Great racetrack that is just dormant for 362 days a year. That's not cool. Not cool at all. Not for that facility and how great it is. It's very unfortunate. But I'm looking forward to this weekend's race. It's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of fun, and I think we're going to see some major upsets. So pick your drag race bracket bonanza accordingly, because you're going to have some folks that had no business winning, like we've seen all season long. So I expect no surprises. 60 Gerber Collision and Glass Route 66 NHRA Nationals. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. I want to thank Will Smith for taking the time to come on the show. Man, we got so much stuff going on here at Sports Journey. We'll have a article about the Route 66 Nationals going up tomorrow. If you are into the NFL, we have a great Washington Commanders article where I predict how many primetime games I think this team will see. And I give you the reasons why I think they will see that many primetime games. If you haven't heard and you've been living under a rock and you're a Saints fan, Derek Carr has retired. And we have an article about that and how this actually benefits the New Orleans Saints. So go to sportsjourney.com for all things sports. Well, for Sports Journey, for everything Nitro, for Drag Race Reference, our source for all stats when it comes to the NHRA, And for Drag Race Bracket Bonanza, I'm Dujane Bland. This has been another edition of the NotBland Show. And I look forward to seeing you guys next Tuesday. Good night, everybody.